As dusk settles over the city of Greywood, the streets, once alive with people, begin to echo with distant screams. The apocalypse doesn't begin with a loud explosion or a dramatic government warning. Instead, it starts with a single infected man stumbling into a crowded subway station. His pale, grayish skin, bloodshot eyes, and unnatural jerking movements go unnoticed at first. Then, he lunges. In the span of minutes, the infection spreads like wildfire. The bitten convulse violently before turning into ravenous creatures, attacking anyone nearby. Panic erupts as commuters shove their way out, only to find that the horror isn't contained within the subway. Above ground, chaos reigns. Car accidents clog intersections. Helicopters circle overhead. The police, overwhelmed, open fire on the advancing horde, but bullets to the chest do nothing. Across the city, a small group of survivors emerges. Ethan Carter, an ex-firefighter with a haunted past, narrowly escapes a burning apartment complex with his younger sister Lena, a sharp-witted college student. Mark Evans, a former paramedic, tries to keep his cool as he helps a wounded stranger to safety. Jessica Lane, an ex-military engineer, uses her knowledge to barricade a local diner, knowing the thin walls won't hold forever. These strangers don't know each other yet, but fate is already drawing them together. Ethan and Lena rush through the streets, dodging mindless corpses. They take shelter in a nearby hardware store, where Mark and Jessica have also taken refuge. It's their first time meeting, but introductions can wait. The zombies have picked up their scent. The undead begin pounding on the glass doors. Ethan and Jessica grab whatever weapons they can find, hammers, crowbars, a nail gun, anything that might slow the inevitable onslaught. Mark tries to reinforce the door with shelves, but the creature's strength is relentless. Lena lets out a horrified gasp as she notices something terrifying. One of the zombies is learning. Unlike the others, this one isn't blindly throwing itself at the barricade. It watches them, calculating. And then, instead of clawing at the door, it grabs a heavy object and starts smashing the glass. The realization is like ice in their veins. "We need to move, now," Jessica shouts. The group has no choice but to run. They smash through a back exit, emerging into an alley filled with overturned dumpsters and flickering streetlights. The city is drowning in an eerie silence, broken only by the distant groans of the undead. Their only option is to find higher ground before the city becomes a complete death trap. As they sprint toward a nearby office building, a loud crash erupts behind them. The smart zombie is still following them, leading a horde. Night has fallen. And the real fight for survival has just begun. The survivors race down the alley, their footsteps echoing against the cold pavement. Behind them, the horde barrels forward, unstoppable, unrelenting. The smart zombie, the one that shattered the hardware store's glass, is leading them, moving with unsettling purpose. Jessica, scanning their surroundings, spots an emergency ladder hanging from the side of an old office building. "Up there," she shouts. Ethan boosts Lena up first, her fingers barely reaching the metal bars. Mark follows next, his breaths ragged as he scrambles upward. Jessica grips the cold steel and pulls herself up with ease, her military training kicking in. Ethan is last, but as he grabs the ladder, the smart zombie lunges. With unnatural speed, the creature swipes at Ethan's ankle. He barely dodges, hoisting himself up just as rotting fingers scrape against his boot. He doesn't dare look down. Once they reach the rooftop, Lena collapses, gasping for air. Mark leans against a rusted vent, trying to catch his breath. Ethan and Jessica peer over the edge. The streets are a nightmare, corpses feasting on the living, fires spreading unchecked, car alarms blaring in the distance. "This is bad," Ethan mutters. Jessica turns to him, her eyes cold and calculating. "It's worse than bad. Did you see that thing down there? It's thinking." Lena shudders. Zombies aren't supposed to think. Mark, ever the realist, shakes his head. Maybe it's just a fluke. Maybe. A loud thump interrupts him. Something landed on the rooftop. The survivors freeze. The wind howls between the buildings, carrying the faint scent of blood. Slowly, Ethan grips the crowbar he grabbed from the hardware store. Jessica readies her hunting knife. Another thump. And then, a third. They're not alone. From the shadows, two figures emerge, both covered in grime, their clothes tattered but their eyes very much alive. One is a rugged-looking man with a rifle slung over his shoulder. The other, a woman with a blood-stained baseball bat, her knuckles white from gripping it too tightly. "We saw you climb up," the man says, his voice deep and cautious. "Figured you weren't one of them." Jessica doesn't lower her knife. "And how do we know you're not infected?" The woman rolls her eyes. "Trust me, if we were, you'd already be dead." A tense silence falls over them before Ethan finally speaks. "Who are you?" The man sighs. "Name's Cole. This is Riley. We've been running since this nightmare started." Mark frowns. "How long ago did it start?" Riley glances at the ruined city below. "From what we can tell, just a few hours." The weight of her words settles in. A few hours. That's all it took for civilization to collapse. Jessica looks between them. "You two have a plan?" Cole nods. "There's a survivor camp about 10 miles from here. Military's supposed to be keeping it secure. If we can make it there, we might have a chance." Ethan exchanges a look with Lena. A survivor camp. Hope. But getting there through the undead-infested city? That's another problem entirely. "We should wait until morning," Mark suggests. "Moving at night is suicide." Riley shakes her head. "You don't get it, do you?" She points toward the streets below, where the smart zombie is still searching for them. "That thing, it's not gonna stop." Jessica's grip on her knife tightens. They have two choices: wait until morning and risk being trapped, or move now and take their chances in the dark. Neither option is good. But in a world where the dead are learning, waiting might be the worst mistake of all. The group doesn't have the luxury of debating for long. A guttural screech echoes from below, sending a fresh wave of dread through them. The smart zombie hasn't given up, it's still looking for them. Jessica curses under her breath. "We move. Now." Cole nods. "Agreed. If we stay here, we'll be sitting ducks by sunrise." With no time to waste, they make their way across the rooftop, moving cautiously from one building to another. The city's power is failing, some streetlights flicker erratically, while others have already gone dark. The occasional explosion in the distance paints brief flashes of orange against the night sky. They reach the edge of the roof. Below them, an alleyway stretches out, eerily silent. There are no zombies in sight, but that doesn't mean it's safe. "We'll have to climb down," Ethan says. Cole spots a rusted fire escape and gestures toward it. "That's our way down. Stay quiet, stay low." One by one, they descend. The metal creaks under their weight, but the noise is drowned out by the distant chaos of the city. When they reach the ground, they move as one, crouched, alert, weapons in hand. For a moment, it almost feels like they're safe. Then they hear it. A slow, dragging shuffle. From around the corner, a lone zombie stumbles into view. Its jaw hangs loosely, blood dripping from its chin. The sound of its raspy breathing is enough to send a shiver down Lena's spine. Jessica raises a hand, signaling for silence. One zombie isn't a problem. But where there's one, a second figure appears. Then a third. Then a dozen. Their moans rise in unison, heads snapping toward the group. Dead eyes lock onto living flesh. Run! Ethan shouts. The group takes off, weaving through abandoned cars and debris. The undead pour into the alley behind them, their numbers growing with every step. Lena stumbles, nearly falling, but Ethan grabs her arm and pulls her forward. Keep going. They break into the main street, a wasteland of overturned vehicles, shattered glass, and bloodstains. Mark spots an old bus ahead, its doors hanging open. In there. They scramble inside, slamming the doors shut behind them. The first wave of zombies slams against the windows, their rotten hands smearing blood across the glass. This won't hold for long. Riley shouts. Cole raises his rifle and starts shooting through the broken windows, dropping zombies one by one. Jessica and Ethan reinforce the doors with whatever they can find, metal poles, loose seats, anything to buy time. Then, the worst possible thing happens. Lena gasps. Where's Mark? Their heads whip around. Mark isn't in the bus. Through the bloodied windshield, they see him, pinned beneath a fallen street sign, struggling as the undead close in on him. He locks eyes with them, terror written all over his face. Help, he cries. The group hesitates. The horde is too thick. The risk is too great. But Ethan doesn't hesitate. Cover me, he yells, charging out of the bus. Jessica swears under her breath and follows. Cole and Riley fire shot after shot, thinning the horde as best they can. Ethan reaches Mark, using his crowbar to pry the sign off of him. Mark is bleeding, but he's alive. Come on. Ethan pulls him up. The undead are too close. Too many. Jessica tosses a flash grenade from her belt. It detonates, sending a blinding burst of light and sound through the street. The zombies recoil, momentarily stunned. Ethan and Mark sprint back toward the bus. Riley and Lena pull them inside just as the creatures recover, slamming against the vehicle once more. For now, they're safe. But as Mark clutches his bleeding side, his face pale and drenched in sweat, an unspoken fear settles over them. He was out there. He was grabbed. And in this world, a single bite means death. Or worse. Inside the abandoned bus, the survivors struggle to catch their breath. The undead continue to slam against the doors, their groans filling the air. The vehicle rattles under the pressure, but for now, it holds. Mark sits hunched over, his breathing ragged. Blood seeps through his torn shirt, staining his hands as he presses against his side. Lena's voice is barely above a whisper. Did they bite you? Everyone freezes. Mark looks up, his face pale. And no. I don't think so. Jessica isn't convinced. She steps forward, gripping her knife. Show us. Mark hesitates. Show us, Ethan repeats, his voice cold, demanding. With shaky fingers, Mark lifts his shirt. A deep gash runs across his ribs, a wound from the fallen street sign. It's bleeding, but there's no sign of a bite. Relief washes over them, but it's short-lived. Cole glances at the horde outside. We can't stay here. They'll break through sooner or later. Jessica nods. We need to move, but Mark, she gestures to his wound, won't make it far like this. Riley pulls out a small medkit from her backpack. I've got some supplies, but we need a better place to patch him up. Ethan looks out the shattered window. That pharmacy across the street. If we're lucky, there's still medical gear inside. Cole grits his teeth. We're running out of luck. But they have no choice. Jessica pulls out a small flashlight. We go in pairs. Fast and quiet. Ethan and Riley volunteer to go first. The others will cover them. A desperate gamble. Riley peeks out the bus doors, scanning the street. The horde is still focused on the bus, giving them a small window to move. "Now," she hisses. She and Ethan slip out, crouching low as they weave through the wreckage. They stay in the shadows, avoiding broken glass that could give them away. The pharmacy's glass doors are cracked but still intact. Ethan tries the handle, locked. Riley pulls out a crowbar and jams it into the gap. The doors creak loudly as she pries them open. Too loud. The nearest zombie jerks its head toward them. "Go!" Ethan urges, pushing Riley inside. He slams the doors shut just as the undead start to move toward them. The pharmacy is dark, the smell of rot lingering in the air. Some shelves have already been looted, but there are still supplies scattered about. Riley moves quickly, grabbing bandages, antiseptics, and painkillers. We don't have much time. Ethan spots something behind the counter, a gun. He hops over, reaching for it. A sound. A shuffle. His heart stops. From behind the counter, a half-eaten pharmacist stirs. Its milky eyes snap open, and with a guttural growl, it lunges. Ethan barely dodges as the creature slams into the counter. Riley whirls around, pulling her knife. "Watch out!" The zombie reaches for Ethan, jaws snapping. He grips his crowbar and swings. Crack! The blow crushes the side of its skull, sending it sprawling. But it's not dead. Ethan raises his weapon again. This time, he doesn't stop until the body goes still. His hands shake as he exhales. "We need to go." Riley grabs the supplies and they sprint for the exit. Outside, Jessica and Cole provide cover, taking down the closest zombies with precise shots. "Come on!" Jessica shouts. Ethan and Riley rush across the street, dodging reaching hands. They barely make it back into the bus before Cole slams the door shut behind them. Nowhere is safe. Inside, Mark groans as Lena presses a bandage against his wound. "This is gonna hurt," she warns before pouring antiseptic over it. Mark grits his teeth, muffling a scream. "It's not deep," Riley says. "He'll live." A small victory. But no one is celebrating. Cole looks at the others. "We can't keep running like this. If that survivor camp is real, it's our best shot." Jessica nods. "Then we move at dawn." The group settles in for the night. The bus isn't safe, but it's better than being out in the open. As the hours stretch on, Ethan can't shake the feeling that something is watching them. Then he sees it. Outside, standing among the horde, is the smart zombie. It doesn't lunge at the bus. It doesn't try to break in. It just watches. And for the first time, Ethan realizes. They're not just running from the undead. They're being hunted. The dead don't sleep, but the living need to. Inside the bus, exhaustion weighs heavily on the survivors. Ethan sits near the broken window, his grip firm on the crowbar. The others doze in short, uneasy intervals, but he can't bring himself to close his eyes. Not after what he saw. The smart zombie. It's still out there, standing motionless in the street. Its lifeless eyes locked onto the bus. Unlike the other undead, it doesn't groan or mindlessly claw at the vehicle. It's waiting. Ethan feels a chill crawl down his spine. This isn't just survival anymore. They're being hunted. Dawn's first light. As the sky lightens with the first hints of dawn, Jessica is the first to wake. She rubs her eyes and notices Ethan still keeping watch. "You should have gotten some sleep," she mutters. Ethan doesn't look away from the street. Something's wrong. Jessica follows his gaze. The smart zombie is gone. Her stomach tightens. Shit. Before she can wake the others, a loud thud rattles the bus. Everyone jolts awake. Mark groans, his wound still fresh. "What the hell was that?" Lena whispers. Another thud, this time from the roof. Cole grabs his rifle, aiming toward the ceiling. Something's up there. Then, the sound of scraping metal. Jessica curses. It's on the roof. Before anyone can react, a rotten arm punches through a rusted section of the bus, grabbing Riley's shoulder. She screams, twisting away just in time to avoid the snapping jaws that follow. Ethan doesn't hesitate. He swings his crowbar upward, crack, the limb snaps, sending the creature reeling. A sickening screech echoes from above. No time to think. We need to move, now. Jessica yells. A desperate escape. The doors burst open, and the group charges into the street. The horde, stirred by the commotion, lets out a collective moan and lumbers toward them. Head for the subway. Cole shouts, pointing to a stairwell leading underground. It's a gamble. If the tunnels are packed with zombies, they're walking into a death trap. But out here, they're sitting ducks. They sprint toward the entrance, cutting down any zombies that get too close. As they descend, the screams from above grow distant. The darkness of the subway surrounds them, the stale air thick with decay. Ethan flicks on a flashlight. The beam reveals an empty station, deserted, but not untouched. Dried blood stains the tiled walls. A broken vending machine is overturned, its contents looted long ago. Cole catches his breath. Block the entrance. Riley and Jessica push an old turnstile against the stairwell, buying them some time. Lena grips Ethan's arm. Is Mark okay? Mark leans against a pillar, sweat dripping down his face. He's getting weaker. Jessica kneels beside him, checking his wound. He's burning up. Riley pulls out the painkillers they took from the pharmacy. This'll help, but we need to get him to that survivor camp soon. Cole scans the tunnel ahead. Then we keep moving. The underground nightmare. They follow the tracks cautiously, their footsteps echoing in the emptiness. The deeper they go, the colder the air feels. The tunnels stretch endlessly, the flickering emergency lights barely illuminating the way. Then they hear it. A faint clicking sound. Jessica stops. What was that? The clicking grows louder, followed by a guttural growl. Then, from the darkness, it emerges. A crawler, a grotesquely mutated zombie, drags itself forward on twisted limbs. Unlike the others, it moves with unsettling speed, its exposed ribcage shifting unnaturally as it scuttles along the tunnel wall. Lena gasps. What the hell is that? The crawler screeches and leaps. Ethan barely has time to react before it slams into him, sending him crashing to the ground. Its teeth snap inches from his face, its breath reeking of death. Jessica fires her pistol, bang, the shot hits its shoulder, but it doesn't stop. Riley stabs her knife into its side. Get off him. Ethan grits his teeth and rams his crowbar into its skull, crack, the creature convulses before finally going still. Panting, Ethan shoves it off. New rule, he mutters. We never go underground again. But Cole isn't listening. He's staring down the tunnel, his face grim. Because now, they can hear them. Dozens of them. More crawlers. Skittering. Coming fast. Jessica reloads her gun. Run. No one hesitates. They sprint through the tunnels, their flashlight beams bouncing wildly. The clicking noises multiply, surrounding them. The exit is nowhere in sight. And the dead are closing in. The sound of skittering claws echoes through the tunnels, growing louder with every passing second. The crawlers are fast, faster than the shambling undead above. Ethan, Jessica, and the others sprint through the underground, their lungs burning, their flashlights flickering wildly as they move. Keep running. Jessica shouts, glancing back. Shadows move unnaturally along the tunnel walls, half-decayed creatures scuttling forward on twisted limbs, their milky eyes gleaming in the darkness. Mark stumbles. Riley grabs him before he falls completely. I can't keep up," he gasps. Cole spots a maintenance door up ahead. In there. They reach the door, shoving against it, locked. "Move!" Ethan yells, slamming his crowbar against the handle. The lock shatters, and the door swings open. They pile in, Jessica and Riley slamming it shut just as the first crawler lunges. A sickening thud sounds as it collides with the door, followed by a chorus of shrill screeches. The survivors press their backs against the door, breathing heavily. The creatures scratch and claw at the metal, but for now, it holds. Mark collapses onto the floor, his face pale. His wound is worse than before. Sweat drips down his forehead. Lena kneels beside him, panic in her eyes. "We need to stop the bleeding." Jessica pulls out the remaining bandages from Riley's medkit. "This won't last long." Ethan shines his flashlight around the room. It's a cramped maintenance area, filled with rusted tools, old electrical panels, and stacks of abandoned supplies. But more importantly, there's a ventilation shaft. He points to it. "That might be our way out." Cole frowns. "If it leads somewhere. Otherwise, we're crawling into a dead end." "We don't have a choice," Jessica says. "That door isn't gonna hold forever." The crawl to safety. The survivors take turns prying open the vent cover. Jessica goes in first, her flashlight beam cutting through the dust-filled air. The tunnel is narrow, barely enough room to move. One by one, they crawl forward, dragging their supplies behind them. Ethan goes last, pushing Mark ahead as carefully as he can. Mark groans with every movement, his energy fading. Behind them, the door to the maintenance room shakes violently. Boom! The creatures are breaking through. Ethan grits his teeth. Faster! They wriggle through the vent, sweat dripping from their faces. The air is thick with dust, making it harder to breathe. Then, up ahead, light. Jessica reaches the end of the vent, kicking the cover loose. She drops down into a dimly lit subway platform, scanning for threats. Clear. The others follow, landing hard on the cold concrete floor. Ethan helps Mark down last. The wounded man can barely stand. Jessica turns to Cole. "Where the hell are we?" Cole shines his flashlight around. The abandoned platform stretches into darkness, the tracks leading deeper underground. A broken sign nearby reads, "Exit, Station 14. Lena exhales. "We need to get up to the streets. We can't stay down here." Mark groans. Riley kneels beside him, checking his wound. "He's getting worse." Jessica curses. "We need to move. Fast." The trap. Cole finds an old stairwell leading up. "This way." They move cautiously, weapons ready. The station is eerily silent, but the distant sounds of the undead still echo from deeper in the tunnels. Halfway up the stairs, Ethan stops. Something's wrong. "Wait," he whispers. Jessica freezes. "What?" Ethan listens. No groaning. No screeching. Just silence. Then, click click click. Jessica's eyes widen. It's here. The smart zombie. It steps into view at the top of the stairs. Not shuffling like the others. Not mindless. It tilts its head. Studying them. Ethan tightens his grip on his crowbar. "Son of a..." The smart zombie screams. A high-pitched, ear-piercing shriek that echoes through the station. Then, from the shadows, dozens of zombies pour in from every direction. The trap is sprung. Jessica raises her gun. "Run!" The group turns, rushing down the stairs. The horde floods in from above, dead hands reaching for them. Cole spots a service tunnel on the side. In here. They dive into the tunnel, barely escaping the first wave of undead. But they're not safe. Because up ahead, more crawlers wait in the darkness. The survivors are trapped. The service tunnel is pitch black, the air damp and filled with the stench of decay. Behind them, the horde pours into the subway station, dozens of undead pushing into the narrow passageway. Their groans echo through the tunnel, their footsteps relentless. Ahead of them, the crawlers wait, their pale, twisted bodies clinging to the walls and ceiling like grotesque spiders. Their clicking noises grow louder, sensing fresh prey. The survivors freeze, caught between two nightmares. Jessica tightens her grip on her pistol. Shit. Ethan scans their surroundings. We can't go back. We fight through. Mark, barely conscious, groans as Lena tries to keep him upright. Riley checks her remaining bullets. We don't have enough ammo for all of them. Cole grits his teeth. Then we use what we have and make every shot count. The battle in the tunnel. The first crawler lunges. Jessica fires, bang. The shot tears through its skull, sending its corpse crashing to the floor. But the others don't stop. More crawlers drop from the ceiling, screeching as they charge. Ethan swings his crowbar, crack, shattering the ribs of one. Another slams into him, clawing at his chest. He kicks it off, barely dodging a set of snapping teeth. Riley drives her knife into a crawler's eye, twisting the blade. It shrieks before going limp. Cole swings his rifle like a club, knocking another away. We're getting overwhelmed. Lena pulls Mark toward a side passage. We need to move. The group pushes forward, hacking through the monsters. Jessica empties her last bullet into a crawler's head, then grabs Mark's arm, dragging him along. They run, breathless, deeper into the tunnel. Behind them, the horde closes in. But something is wrong. The crawlers stop chasing. They retreat into the shadows, disappearing like phantoms. Jessica notices. Why aren't they following us? Then she sees it. A massive metal door looms ahead. It's partially open, leading into another section of the underground. The crawlers didn't stop because they were afraid of the survivors. They stopped because of whatever's inside. The hidden chamber. Cole pushes the door open further. The group steps inside, their flashlights flickering across an abandoned underground facility. Rows of rusted cages line the walls. Some are broken. Others still hold rotting corpses, their bodies twisted and unnatural. A single blood-stained operating table sits in the center. Ethan exhales. This isn't just a subway. Jessica scans the room. Medical equipment. Restraints. Syringes. This was a lab. Riley runs her fingers over a faded logo on the wall, Project Lazarus. Cole mutters, "What the hell were they doing down here?" Before anyone can answer. A loud growl rumbles from the darkness. Lena grips Ethan's arm. We're not alone. The monster in the dark. The growl turns into deep, heavy breathing. Something big shifts in the shadows. Ethan shines his flashlight toward the far end of the room. And freezes. A hulking figure steps into the dim light. It's not just a zombie. It's something worse. Its muscles are grotesquely swollen, skin stretched tight over its frame. Metal plates are fused into its flesh, remnants of some sick experiment. Its eyes glow faintly, a horrible intelligence behind them. It lumbers forward, dragging a massive, clawed hand across the ground. Jessica whispers, "What the hell is that?" Cole raises his rifle. Something we don't want to fight. But it's too late. The behemoth lets out a deafening roar. Then it charges. The last stand. The survivors scatter as the mutant slams into the cages, crushing metal like paper. Ethan rolls aside just as its massive claw swipes at him, barely missing. Jessica fires her last bullet, bang, but it bounces off the creature's metal-plated skull. Cole curses. Bullets won't work. Riley grabs a rusted gas canister from the floor. Maybe this will. She hurls it at the creature's feet. Ethan swings his crowbar, sparking against the metal. Boom! The canister explodes, engulfing the behemoth in flames. It howls in agony, thrashing wildly. But it doesn't die. It stumbles, burning, but still coming. Jessica grabs Mark. We have to go. Lena spots another exit door. Over there. The survivors sprint toward it. Ethan glances back one last time. The behemoth, engulfed in fire, still stalks after them. But it's too slow. The group slams the door shut behind them. For now, they survive. But as they race up the final stairwell, gasping for breath, they hear something far worse. The smart zombies scream. It's still hunting them. And now, it knows exactly where they are. The survivors burst through the stairwell door, emerging into the open air. For the first time in hours, they see the sky, a blood-red sunset casting long shadows over the ruined city. But there's no relief. Because the smart zombie is waiting for them. And it's not alone. A massive horde swarms the street, hundreds of undead, all standing eerily still, as if awaiting orders. Jessica grips her pistol, knowing there's not a single bullet left. Ethan clutches his crowbar. Cole raises his rifle, his hands steady despite the hopelessness of the situation. Riley mutters, "We're dead." Then, the smart zombie moves. It raises one decayed arm and lets out a low, guttural growl. Instantly, the horde surges forward. The last sprint. Run! Jessica shouts. The group bolts down the street, weaving between rusted cars and broken debris. Zombies pour in from all sides. Groaning. Reaching. Clawing. Ethan swings his crowbar, crack, splitting a skull. Riley stabs a zombie in the throat before shoving it away. But they can't fight forever. We need high ground. Cole yells. Lena points to a nearby rooftop. A fire escape ladder dangles just out of reach. Ethan curses. We have to jump for it. Cole boosts Jessica up first. She grabs the ladder, pulling herself onto the metal platform. One by one, they climb. Ethan goes last, just as zombie hands grab his ankle. He kicks wildly, yanking himself up. A half-rotten face snaps at him just as he swings over the railing. The group scrambles to the roof. But there's no time to rest. Because the smart zombie is climbing after them. The final confrontation. Jessica backs away. This thing, it's different. The smart zombie doesn't move like the others. It grabs the fire escape railing, pulling itself up. Its movements are unnervingly precise, almost human. Its cold, dead eyes lock onto Ethan. And then, it speaks. A horrible, raspy whisper, "Run, no, more." The words send ice through Ethan's veins. Cole raises his rifle. We have to end this. The plan. The rooftop is wide and open, but there's one last chance. A rusted water tower stands at the roof's edge. If they can bring it down, it might crush the smart zombie and block the horde from reaching them. Jessica grabs a loose metal pipe. We hit the supports. Hard. The group rushes the tower. Ethan slams his crowbar against the rusted beams. Riley kicks at the base. Cole fires his last few bullets at the joints. The smart zombie charges. It grabs Cole, slamming him against the tower. The impact bends the structure, but Cole groans in pain. Jessica swings the pipe, wham, cracking the zombie's skull. But it doesn't stop. It lunges at her. Ethan tackles it mid-air. They roll toward the roof's edge, dangerously close to the drop. The zombie pins Ethan down, its decayed fingers wrapping around his throat. Its rotten lips move. "You lose." Ethan grits his teeth. Then, he sees it. One last weak spot on the water tower. If he can just reach it. The sacrifice. Ethan shoves the zombie back, just long enough to swing his crowbar at the last support beam. Crack. The entire water tower groans. Jessica yells, "Get back." The survivors dive away as the massive structure topples forward. The smart zombie doesn't move. It just stares at Ethan, as if realizing what's about to happen. Then, the tower collapses. The metal frame crushes the smart zombie, sending a shockwave through the rooftop. Water explodes outward, sweeping zombies off the edge of the building. The horde below is drowned and crushed, their bodies flailing in the flood. When the dust settles, the smart zombie is gone. The aftermath. The survivors lie motionless, gasping for breath. Cole groans, sitting up. Did we do it? Jessica looks around. The horde is silent. The streets below are littered with motionless corpses. The smart zombie's control is broken. They've won. Ethan pushes himself up, chest heaving. It's over. Lena kneels beside Mark. He's still alive, but weak. We need to get him to the survivor camp. Cole nods. Then let's move. The final walk. As the last light of the sunset fades, the survivors climb down from the rooftop. The city is still dangerous. But for the first time, there's hope. They walk toward the horizon, toward the survivor camp, toward a future that might still exist. And behind them, the dead remain still. For now. The night falls once more. But this time, the survivors are ready. The end.